What's up? Big Herc 916, getting down with Fresh Out. And I have with me here my man, Sinister Monopoly. Make sure you hit that like and that sub button because we're trying to get the channel up to 1 million subscribers. When we hit 1 million, we're going to do a big giveaway, you guys. Big giveaway because it's a long time in the making. But yeah, me and Sinister are here chopping it up. And I was just talking with him about the cannabis industry, how much has changed from when he was trapping in the streets and how now, because it went legit, but then there's so much more grimy stuff on the legit side that, you know, a lot of people just get in there thinking they're gonna make a bunch of money and they don't know there's a lot of pitfalls, man, and people are getting murked in the cannabis game like they were back in the 80s in the cocaine game. So, Sinister, man, what are some of the things we were just talking about, you know, how crazy the cannabis game is now?
It is, for real, and some of it is, you know, gray market, some of it's illegal, right? We'll touch on maybe both. Like, there was an interesting one that I want to say was not long ago, maybe 8 or 9 months, and it was, I think, an off-duty police officers went in and robbed a major grow. And they kind of went in and pretended like they were cops, did the whole raid, like locked the place down, and then just ripped off the whole grow.
Wow.
And, you know, so a lot of this happens quite a bit, you know, like you hire people to help you trim or whatever, and then people just start to talk about where these grows are or where the bag is, and, you know, next thing you know, people are just getting, you know.
Well, even being a grower now, because it used to be back in the days outdoor, but now everybody wants exotic indoor. And like people finding out, you got to be so discreet on where your shit is because dudes are literally tracking people to their houses and, you know, and robbing them. I've heard of guys, you know, what is the Apple thing they throw on your car, man, and they'll basically you know, follow dudes from valet somewhere from their car all the way to the house. You know, I had a partner.
Absolutely.
He said his boy is in the, you know, is in the weed game, and some dudes knew, and they just waited for him to go to a particular restaurant, and then they, you know, found out where he lived at and tied him up and took his shit.
Right. So it's interesting, like, since before I went away, a lot of people would do what's called fronting. And fronting, for those that don't know, is when I would give someone, you know, hundreds of pounds on a credit line.
Yep.
And just say, hey, go ahead and move the product and then pay me back. Well, a lot of that's kind of changed since, you know, I was arrested good over 10, 12 years ago. And nowadays, people like have to do like COD because, you know, people, they won't come back with the money anymore. You could, if it's the homie you grew up with, you thought he was all good. Yeah, he's good, we did business, and you shoot him, you know, some work, we call it, and they run off with the bag. They sometimes don't even have to stick you up. So oftentimes nowadays it's switched to COD, and it makes me wonder if that has anything to do with the market price of a pound has substantially gone down, right? And I don't know if it's because like they're getting people to COD and people don't have money to COD, so then the price just keeps tanking, or if it's just the level of inventory. But before I went away, like the price of a pound, let's say in like Detroit or something, right, was when I very first started, I would sell it for like $5,000, $5,500.
What year was that?
That was in like 2008, 2009, maybe 7, you know, something like that. I could start to hit. I would shoot it into Atlanta. It was $5,500. One guy shot it into Ohio, and he wanted to charge his customer $6,000 for a pound. So now today's market, like, you know, I'm not out there wheeling and dealing in the industry, so I don't, you know, don't quote me, but I do know they're like they're low, you know, maybe $2,000, $1,000, you know,
for the same quality.
Right, yeah.
Wow. So it's
I happened to be
now.
at like a family function sort of thing for 4th of July, and I ran into a grower, and he was like super bummed that he had recently just offed a lot of pounds for like $800 a pound. And I was like, dude, you might as well become a painter. Like, what are you doing? Like, you can sell artwork for, you know, I don't know how many, like maybe he sold a 20 pack, you know, 20 times 800, but even then, like by the time you're paying for the rent in your commercial building or whatever house, and if you're stealing power, your nutrients, now it's like some of these growers aren't even going to grow anymore. They're kind of like just throwing in the towel and quitting because there's not enough, it's not even equaling enough money.
Well, I know especially out in LA, man, like there's certain spots that are known as trap spots, and people just basically stock those spots out. And if they catch a dude walking around with garbage bags, they know you got a sack up in there, and they're just robbing dudes.
Right.
I know, like especially like downtown, it's crazy, bro. Dudes are getting robbed left and right. So I always tell dudes, man, because people, they try to post stuff on IG or they're putting stuff in their. I'm like, dude, why are you? I don't care how much weed you got, or why are you posting them? Like, you're stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I see you're proud that you got a 6-foot plan or whatever, but why would you advertise? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you think you're showing off because you got this and that. You're trying to network. You don't know the people you're networking to.
Totally.
You're networking to guys who maybe are straight jack boys.
Yeah.
And I tell dudes all the time, he's like, dude, move in silence. If you have to go all out like that to try to get a customer, then you need to find a different way to try to put your product out there, because you're showing people who potentially, majority of people seeing that are trying to figure out how to get what you got for free.
Totally.
I mean, you said it before, like,
especially in today's world, if you're flossing, like, okay, so you're showing that cannabis around and you're just like invite over anyone because you're verifying them on Telegram or whatever the case is. But then what happens if you start to show these people, you got the nice car, the jewelry? I mean, you're just adding insult to injury or gasoline, right? Like, so it's just a matter of time before someone comes, whether it's like the people, the man, is going to come and throw you on a charge, or someone's just going to come and, you're going to lose your life because you're trying to.
Well, and the thing is too, most people, they're not going to want to go through and build a relationship because they're not business people. See, the thing is now, back in the day, you would work with somebody for years.
Totally.
You cultivated.
Like my customers, I went to high school and grade school.
But now everybody's short term. It's like they might get something twice and then rob you on a third one. It's not like people are trying to build relationships, and there's no integrity in the game. The game now, literally, a homeboy of mine knew a dude, and the dude pulled a gun on him over like 4 pounds, is gonna kill him. And he thought the dude was joking, and he thought about it though. He's like, man, what if this dude has a real bullet in the gun? So the dude jacked him, got out the car, and then he drove by, and the dude shot at him, so he could have killed him. He put the gun, and I'm like, dude, you're over 3 pounds, 4 pounds? That shows you a desperation that's out there, man.
Right. No, I've kind of like walked into scenarios where I thought to myself, like, that could potentially have happened to myself, right? So, like, for instance, I remember I met somebody, and we were going into like a garage, right? And it was just me and like maybe one other person, and I brought a couple 100 pounds, right? And so the person I had brought it to, I didn't really know them that well. I knew the one person, but I really got this weird sense that like when the garage door closed, like if I was gonna have them like pay COD, like maybe it was gonna be a gun pulled out.
Yeah.
But they actually knew that I was gonna just drop it and leave it with them and leave. So you don't have to rob me in the moment, because I'm not going to be like, do you like it? Do you have the money? If not, I'm leaving. Because I was already going to leave it. But I kind of got the sense that if I was like, oh, well, you guys don't have the money, or you don't like it, I almost was probably going to get jammed up with a gun. It's just weird, right? And
Did they end up paying you for it?
No, those person ended up running off with that. So that's why.
So you already had the feeling.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I knew the feeling, right? Yeah. And so I shot him that. I waited around, and then of course I got the whole story.
Well, see, the thing is, like, when you look at something like that, a couple 100 pounds, and like person thinks, man, I'm set. But then when they run through all that, and then now they're trying to build a customer base. Where do they go to get more shit at? See what I'm saying? And they think,
right, like as I started having to check on the dude, everybody around in the neighborhood, because it was a different state. And people, I didn't, vet this person and know them that well. And other people from that state who already knew that this dude was like the neighborhood jacker.
And what about when we were, we were talking about
like a
females.
dude that just built a strong arm like a Debo.
So that was his whole lick, of just going around robbing people.
So those dudes, they bounce from city to city, town to town. They'll go to Vegas, they'll go to LA,
Chicago,
and those Debos get around, and then they and it's weird to like. For me, like, I'm not cool with people that steal at all, and I don't condone it. Maybe when I was young and I might have been drunk on a Saturday, I came home with something that wasn't mine, but as you get older and you grow, like, that stuff is just so lame, dude, and that's so like wrong and like karma, like they're everything. I can't stand it. And we were talking earlier about like some things, and even I had like been in prison, and I had a cellmate tell me that, oh man, if I knew you on the outside, I would have jacked you. And I was just like, man, that's crazy, because I thought maybe you were like my bro right now. When we got out, we might go get something to eat. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what though? But that's why I always tell people in prison, and we're going to talk about this some more later, but man, always hide your mail addresses. Because dudes copy people's phone books.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into that now.
Something similar.
Dudes copy people's phone books, bro, and go through the list, because if they know that you were balling out there and, oh, your baby mama dudes, I'm telling you, they get out before you, or they'll send a homeboy. Go get it.
Oh, there's a lot of scams that happen from people doing that sort of thing, and extortions.
So you got to be careful. Real. But I was going to tap into as far as the females in the game now and setting up dudes, because I always tell dudes, like, dude, why you keep posting that shit and thinking you're gonna, you're flossing? And these females are the ones now, the front runners, because I've seen where dudes have these badass females hit that dude up on IG, send him a DM, this and that, and they open the door.
Oh yeah, it's a crew. It's a Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, like you said, you got robbed for $200K.
Yeah. So that was an interesting, and I think that what happened was, it was this female that I was hanging around and kind of knew and was spending time with, and so I don't know if this particular person went and like told these men about me, or they kind of like put her up on. I don't think they put her up on it, but maybe she was just around other people and bragging about me.
So you
right?
think you don't think that she already had that intention, or somebody put that in her head?
I don't think she necessarily had that intention, because I had known her for quite a while, and she was coming around, and I had even taken her like on trips, like, traveling with me. And so it wasn't something that was very new. It was like I knew this person maybe for like a year.
Oh wow,
or
a
more.
Year?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, like, I'm a good dude. I always take care of people that, like, even if it's like my bros, they don't gotta pay. Back when I was making lots of money, I'm paying for the nights out in the clubs, the limos, the bars, even tickets to events. Like, I would just be like, I got you. You know what I mean? So I always treated people good, and I don't understand sometimes when people turn their back to get over on somebody. But like, for instance, me, like, I had this person, and we were getting ready to go like out for the night, and I took it's like a regular like Nordstrom's shopping bag, and it was filled, like to the top with maybe like 170, but 180, close to 200 grand. And so I was traveling, and I didn't have like my regular home, right, where I would have a safe. Mm-hmm. So normally, in this particular house, I would throw it way in the attic and put it like underneath the insulin if I knew I was going to be like out anywhere or whatever, right? But on this day, I literally, like, right near my kitchen where we could be like on the island was a laundry room, and I just went in there and I put it in like the washer or the dryer and piled clothes in all around the top. So like a random burglar would never like open up your washing machine if it cracks your house, right? So I went out, started drinking, and then at the end of the night I was like, oh, do you want to come inside? Oh no, I got to get up early. And I'm like stumbling to my door, and I come into my house, and the back door to my house is like on the ground. It wasn't a slider door, it was like almost like a regular pedestrian door.
Yeah.
But the door was completely like fucking on the ground in the kitchen. And in the moment, I didn't know what to do, or if someone was still in the house, because as a kid, I came home with my dad one time in our house, and there was someone in there still. And so you don't know, like, are they still in the house? So I did have a gun, because I was traveling into a different, I wasn't in my hometown, and my homeboy gave me one. I went to the nightstand, and it was gone. And I was like,
oh.
And this was a 3-story home. Like, you park in the basement, like, and then you have like a back entrance in your basement, like living quarters back here, and then a mid-level. So it's a 3-story house. It's pretty big. And I was like, man, what do I do, And I'm so drunk, I didn't even really think about looking in there. And I called the back and I was like, hey, you know, come back and pick me up. Somebody broke into my house. I'm not going to stay here. And then I eventually looked into the washer and dryer, and of course, you know, the money's gone. And she never pulled back to come get me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like calling, and you know, I didn't want to get in my car because I was wasted, and I didn't want to stay at my house. I wanted to go get a hotel or something, you know. And I didn't know too many people in the state because, again, I was doing business in there, but I would only just in and out, like dropped a couple pounds on a couple of people. And so I got by the local stripper, you know, and to this day, like I see her on IG posting on what club she's at for the night, and I'm thinking, wow, like you could get got really easy because you're telling everyone where you are on a Saturday, you know what I'm saying? And then it was funny, like I remember, like she never came to get me, and that day actually, I don't know if it was like a lot of like something just catching up to me. I did get a hotel at the Intercontinental, and that same night it was like 5 or 4 in the morning, and I hadn't slept, bro. I was already got dropped off at like 2 in the morning or something, right? And so I went to Intercontinental, I got a room, and then somebody's calling me, like whispering on the phone. And I used to keep like 5 or 7 cell phones with me because they're all like throwaways, right? And so I didn't recognize the number, and it turns out I was working with this Vietnamese crew in the neighborhood, and they just had a home invasion that same night that all that happened with me. And it was dude's like wife saying, hey, the cops are here, there was a shootout at our house.
Oh shit.
And I used to tell this kid, I would teach him, like, don't keep the work where you sleep. You have kids, you know, like pay your friends rent for free, you know, and let him keep your 100 packs. And so he would tell me he was doing that, but he wasn't. So he was doing it, he was leaving him, and I guess he had like one of his bros like even staying there, but somebody ran up in his house with guns blazing, and they had a shootout. When the cops come, they eventually like roll back and crack one of his bedrooms, and then so that guy owed me, I think, like $700,000 or whatever, right? The girl hits me for like 2. And so I know I have my pilot coming into town, right? And his whole agenda is to pick up money. And so I'm like, man, and I have to get it back to the plug. So I used to have, this was kind of like an area, this is like a hub. This is actually Atlanta. And Atlanta operated as a hub. Like I could shoot work out to North Carolina or Alabama and just like neighboring areas that were like 4 or 5 hour drives. And I had a buddy that I had taken some stuff to North Carolina. And so this guy was like, he owed me money. I said, hey man, you gonna get money from North Carolina, your buddy? Yeah, and I said, okay, I got some out there too. Will you do me a favor and pick up some from someone else? And I didn't know the other guy, he was kind of new for me, right? And he's like, yeah, I'll go meet him. So my other boy, I happen to know him, he rolls up, and he's already making lots of money. He drives a Rolls Royce, he owns a car dealership, you know? And so he goes and gives this other dude money, and he's supposed to wheel it up to me in Atlanta. And he comes in Atlanta and says that he got pulled over along the way. So I had a trifecta.
Oh my God.
It was a
you know
what I mean? So I literally went from a stripper, the home invasion, and now some cat like, and then when I was like, oh, I'll meet you at the sports bar. And he comes and he starts, and I was like, well, where's the paperwork from getting pulled over? Oh, it was there. And I was like, okay, well, check it out. I said, check.
You just got pulled over and nothing?
Yeah. And I was like, he started saying it was his uncle. And his uncle, we got to bail him. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, if we can get the paper and you can show me that that's gone. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to leave and I'll come back and I'll get it. And I was like, no. I'm not leaving you. Like, we're going together right now. Everywhere you go, I'm going until we fucking, you know what I'm saying? And then at some point, like, that just exasperated. And I was like, you know what? I got to go home. And I just took off back to California, and I started hitting homies in Atlanta. And was like, I need you to go do this and try to get, you know? And so, like, it happened back then, and now it's happening to like even more, and we don't always hear about them, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. When it rains, it pours, man. You know, and I tell people all the time, man. Even just doing business, like, you know, trying to do this Hollywood shit, social media shit, man. It's just so many grimy people, man. You know, people like, you know, you think that have your best interests, and it's just especially a lot of people who want that overnight success, and you and I both know from having been around that there's nothing overnight, and a lot of times what you think you see on social media is not the truth.
Right,
People
right.
ain't living like that, man. They leasing shit.
Oh,
That
for
house
sure.
Is a,
Like-
that was house is a lease. It's an Airbnb. It's just all that facade to get you to believe that's what they're really doing, and it's not the
Like
the
a
case.
prime example is like you could say someone that's so flossed out with all like the rich swagger, the jewelry, the clothing, but then there's a dude next to him who's probably twice as rich, wearing an all-white T-shirt and like some $20 Chuck Taylors, or you know what I mean? So it's just there's and that's the other thing too. Like nowadays, like the real G's that make money, like somebody that's like a Bill Gates, do they need to have their money hold it up next to them on cash? Like, if that's all the money you got, I feel for you, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because you're holding up. What
is the thing they do now?
Like, what
When
is
they do
this? Like, how much money is this?
What about this? You know what they do? They pull a lip down. What is that?
I don't even know. Like,
I see them doing it all the time. I'm like, is that a new thing? They hold the lip down and they're like, I'm like, dude, it's like, I don't know, man.
I guess we're also trying to just give everyone a heads up to be careful out there. You know what I mean?
I mean, when you're flossing like that, because you know
Yeah.
everybody's talking about, you know, watch out for this, watch out for that, check in, and at the end of the day, man, you just, you know, don't put your location on, showing dudes where you're at. It's like, dude, wait till you get home, and you know, it's like you don't have to let somebody know you have an AR-15 or a Glock. You don't need to take a picture with it.
Right.
I seen literally dudes take pictures. They have weed, and then they have the gun.
Yeah.
Conspiracy case.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Conspiracy to distribute with a firearm. Conspiracy to distribute or with marijuana with a firearm. I'm like, dude, you got a case right there, and you're like an ex-felon.
Right. Yeah. So no, I was incarcerated with a couple people, and I was like, hey, what are you here for? Oh, convicted felon with a firearm. And so it kind of instilled in my head when I went to leave, I know I'm not coming back because I got a gun with me. Like, no, let's fight. I don't need this thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to give these people another reason, right?
No.
And one dude, I was like, well, how did you get caught? And he was like, oh, I took a picture. And they saw, and I was like, dude, are you real? And then he was like, I just made me think, like, my gosh, you know?
Yeah. And that's what they're doing all on Instagram, like pictures of weed and big plants. I've seen dudes, big grows. I'm like, these dudes are squares, because I know anybody I knew back in the day who was hustling never showed anybody how much work they had.
Right.
Never, because you don't want to. Sinister got that much work?
No, you're
look,
hiding
that
it
dude's
before they come over.
You're like, damn, like, you know, okay, I told the homie that this dude is balling.
Right.
And now, you know, 'cause you don't know.
Yeah, I might have 500 in the closet, but you're only looking at 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, hey, just a head up to you guys, man. Watch yourself out there. And if you're going to floss, man, just be aware that you inviting the wolves into your backyard. So be careful, man. Big Herc 916 with Sinister Monopoly, man. Fresh out. Stop walking around with a crusty butt, smelly ball sack, and a funky hoo-ha. Big Herc said, wash that ass. Pick you up a t-shirt at freshoutseries.com.